Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Huck. Today we're doing a currently reading update to chat about what I have been reading lately, even though I have been reading very slowly. So I have only finished one book this month so far, and it is like the middle of the month now, and I just have been reading more slowly than usual, and at this point, I do not think that it is a reading slump anymore because I don't really feel slumpy. I just have been very busy because I recently started a new job, and at this point when I'm filming, I just finished my first 2 weeks in my new job because I started at the beginning of August, and so far I'm liking it, but it is a lot of work. It's very time consuming. I'm assuming that as I settle into it, I will, find a better balance of, how to manage my time and my energy and like fit reading in and stuff like that. But right now, with all of the newness and everything, it just feels very all-consuming and exhausting. So I just like haven't been reading as much. But I have been reading a couple things, and I also have some buddy reads that I've been reading, which have actually been really great because they have been like motivating me and like pushing me to actually read things because I'm buddy reading them. But yeah, so let's get started. First up, talk about the one book that I have finished this month because it's the last thing that I read, which is Only When It's Us by Chloe Leese. This is a contemporary sports romance that takes place in college, where we're following two students at this school who get off on the wrong foot. They're in a class together. They get off on the wrong foot, don't really like each other, but then they're forced to work together on a school project, and they end up having this kind of antagonistic relationship where they sort of like tease and prank each other, and eventually become friends and of course have a romance. And I really enjoyed it. It was very fun. And I probably will be continuing on in the series. So this is one of those series where it's following different siblings in a family. So one of the characters in this first book, I think he has like a big family, like maybe it's like 5 brothers and 2 sisters or something like that. And so the series is going to follow the romances of like the different siblings in the family, I think. And I liked their family a lot. We got a little bit of them in the first book, so I'm excited to see like where else the series goes. Then for the books that I am currently reading, I have 2 physical reads and 2 audiobooks. Although I definitely have like ones that are my priority at the moment and ones I'm gonna have to come back to. So I just realized that my hardcovers, I took the dust jackets off and I didn't put them back on before this video, but I do not want to get up to do that, so we're just going to deal with the naked hardbacks. For the first book though, that's not a problem because the naked hardback is very pretty, which is Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. So this is her newest release in the Grishaverse. It's the second book in the King of Scars duology. We're following primarily 3 perspectives of Nikolai, Zoya, and Nina. And this is one of my buddy reads, which is why this is like my main physical read right now. And so far, I have been enjoying this. It is not my favorite like Leigh Bardugo book. I was kind of meh about the first book in this series, so I haven't been super motivated to read this one, which is also part of why I'm buddy reading it, because my friend and I, both of us, were like not super motivated to read it, and we're like, you know what, we'll buddy read it and that will like get us to do it. But I think I'm maybe like a third of the way into this now, and I am enjoying it. Like even if it's not my favorite Grishaverse book, I just kind of generally enjoy Leigh Bardugo's world, the way that she tells stories, her characters. Her writing is really easy to read, and so I am having fun with it, although at the moment I really only care about Nina's point of view. I'm not really interested in Nikolai or Zoya's perspectives, and I think that that's partially because their perspectives are more focused on like the war aspects, and Nina's is more like a spy story, and I don't know, I like her perspective better so far. But yeah, so I'm reading that one, and then my other physical read does not have as exciting a hardcover, but this is She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. In it, our main character, when she's a child, her father takes her and her brother to a fortune teller who essentially tells them that her brother is destined for greatness. He has this like great destiny ahead of him, but that she has nothing. She will be nothing and no one. But then her brother dies and she kind of takes his destiny and takes his place. And so far, how far into this am I? I think I'm like a quarter of the way into this or so. And so far I have really been liking it. I like the writing in this and the main character. She has a very like strong will to live. But also like the first section of this book, she's kind of in a monastery, which I really enjoyed that part, but now she's kind of gotten to a point where we're learning more about the war, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's going to kind of depend on like what direction the story takes, because I have heard people describe this as a military fantasy, which I didn't realize until after I had already started the book. And I don't love military fantasies, but it kind of depends on the direction it goes, because if it focuses more on like the high level, like strategizing part of it, I don't think I'm going to like it that much, because I just don't find that very interesting. If it stays more focused on the main character and like her experience, like fighting in the war, then I think I would like it more, because it's keeping that like tighter focus on a specific character, and I think I would like that. So at this point, I'm not quite sure what direction it's gonna go, even though I have been enjoying it up until this point, but I'm a little unsure about like the war element in this. But yeah, so I am probably gonna finish Rule of Wolves first and then get to this, but I definitely want to continue on with this one because I am really liking it. Then I have 2 audiobooks. So one of them is another buddy read, which is Path of Fate by Diana Farrow Francis. This is a fantasy that is following this girl who is kind of an outsider among her community, but she has been trained as a healer in this world. And she finds a lot of like purpose in being a healer. She is looking forward to like that being her life. But then she finds out that she has been chosen by their goddess to be one of these like special warriors who has a animal companion and some other powers, and has this like mind bond to an animal companion. And at first she rejects it because she just wants to like live this simple life of being a healer. But eventually some events happen that make her realize that she is needed and that she has to take up this destiny. Yeah, so I'm about halfway into this so far, and it's just like a very fun, light fantasy. I did start this like a month ago. I read like the first 2 chapters and then kind of put it down for a while. Not because I wasn't enjoying it, but it just didn't like grab me right away for whatever reason. So I started listening to it as an audiobook because I thought that might help, and I have actually really liked the audiobook because I like the story. I just was like having a hard time getting into it for some reason while I was reading it. But overall, I am enjoying this, and it's just sort of like a light, fun fantasy with an animal companion, which is always a fun thing. And she's a healer, and there's like a goddess involved. These are all things that I enjoy. So this one's been really fun so far. And then my last audiobook is The Disordered Cosmos, or A Journey into Dark Matter, Space-Time, and Dreams Deferred by Chanda Prescott Weinstein. So this is a nonfiction book that the author is a physicist. It's kind of about physics, but also about her experience like in the sciences and becoming a physicist, and then also about the way in which things like racism and sexism have prevented certain people from having access to the sciences, and how that has shaped the way that we practice science, how we understand science, and then how we understand our world and universe because of that. I'm about a quarter of the way into it, and so far it's been very interesting. I don't know if I'm understanding all of the physics stuff about it, because physics has never been my forte, and so I'm like, I believe that you are explaining the physics in a very clear way, but I am not understanding what is going on here. But it just has been very interesting so far. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to finish this by the end of the month because my library loan is almost expired, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it before it expires because I just have been reading everything so slowly. So if it does expire, I'll just put another hold on it and get it back in a couple of weeks and finish it then. So those are the books that I'm currently reading, and then I have a few different books that I am going to be reading next. I'm not really sure what I'm going to read next because I just have been mood reading so much, so it's impossible to predict. But I do have one more buddy read this month. This month I ended up having quite a few buddy reads in one month. But I'm definitely going to be getting to Miranda and Caliban by Jacqueline Carey. So this is a standalone fantasy retelling of The Tempest, and I have read a couple of books. I read 1.5 books from Jacqueline Carey in her Kushil world, which I really liked her writing, but there were just like certain things about that series that weren't working for me. But I'm very interested to read something else from her because I enjoyed her writing a lot. So I'm excited to get to this one, and I definitely will be reading this at some point this month. And then the two other books that I am considering are Into the Heartless Wood by Joanna Ruth Meyer, which I think I have mentioned this multiple times of like, I need to get to this and I want to read it soon, and then I just keep not reading it, but we're mentioning it again. We'll see what happens. But this is a YA fantasy that just recently came out. It came out earlier this year, that has tree sirens, I think. So yeah, there are sirens that, they're like these tree spirits that lure people into the forest and lure them to their deaths. So that sounds like it'll be a good time. And then I also have Dragon Keeper by Robin Hobb. This is the first book in the Rainwild Chronicles, and I just have been meaning to get to this book and start this series because this is the next series that's like up in my list of Robin Hobb books to read. Yeah, I just like haven't been getting around to this one yet. For some reason, it's always hard for me to like motivate myself to start reading a Robin Hobb book, but then once I start them, I usually enjoy them. So I just need to like get myself together and start this already. So hopefully I will get to those ones soon as well. But those are all of the books that I am currently reading and some of the ones I'm thinking I'll be reading next. What have you been reading recently? Have you been enjoying your reading? I'd love to know. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, bye!